Hello again, vinyl community and other music junkies. Yesterday, Saturday the 30th of April, Black Sabbath on their The End tour, which is supposed to be their last ever tour, played in Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand, which is about a 5-hour drive south of me here. And so I went down there on Saturday morning, drove down, left here Saturday morning, and to see this concert, and decided that on the way I was going to check out, there's several, well, at least 3 small towns that I was passing through, or smaller towns than Christchurch City, and I would investigate and see if there were any record shops that were around and have a look and maybe buy a few records on the way down, and then check out some of the local ones in Dunedin. So I take the inland route, which avoids most of the main highway for the Canterbury region until I get down to Temuka, which is the first small town, smallish town, which is sort of, you'd expect to be big enough to have a record shop, but it doesn't. But it is quite close to the next town, which is Timaru, and I arrived in Timaru around about 10 o'clock in the morning, had a cup of coffee, parked up, had a cup of coffee, and then had a look on the net to see what record shops are around. Found one further up the road, so after a cuppa I walked up the road to the shop and found that it was shut until lunchtime, which was a bit of a pain. It was quite a cool wee shop. I could see it had a fair bit of vinyl in it, down one side of it. But yeah, sad to say I never got a chance to have a look inside it because I didn't have time to wait until lunchtime. So headed off to the next town, which is Oamaru, which is another 80 k's up the road. So parked up there, had a look around, checked on the internet, couldn't actually find anything, asked in a couple of shops, asked a girl in a sort of thrift shop if there were any record shops around. She didn't know. And then found a box of records sitting right by their front door, which was just basically rubbish. I had a look through that, so there's nothing of interest there. And then went down to the music shop where they sell guitars and amps and keyboards and other bits and pieces. Surprisingly, they had one in a small place like that. And he said no, unfortunately the only record shop they have is the Warehouse, which is a major chain shop like Walmart, so which I go to a bit around here and don't tend to find a lot. So anyway, so that was a bit of a waste of time, so I thought I better keep tracking, because I'll run out of time by the time I get to Dunedin, and I'll run out of time to do any shopping. So I got to Dunedin around about 2:30 and quickly found my way to the first record shop, which is a place called Relics in the main shopping district of Dunedin. So Dunedin's quite a much, well, it's the second largest city in the South Island of New Zealand, so I was expecting some good stuff, and I wasn't disappointed. Relics is it's only a small shop dealing mostly in, well, second-hand and new records and CDs. So they had a fairly good vinyl collection. The shop was pretty full of people due to the fact that, of course, there were all these people in town for the Black Sabbath concert. They had a pretty good New Zealand collection, but unfortunately the second-hand stuff was fairly highly priced. The new stuff was the standard high prices anyway. So I went through the New Zealand bin. This caught my eye first up. This was actually a brand new record, but it was actually a reasonably good price for a new one. So as you can see, the band's called Levitating Churches. Now I'd never heard of them, and I brought it because the cover looked cool, and well, the guy's from Christchurch originally, who's they're based in Melbourne now. If Christian or James are watching this video, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these guys, but but the description was 60s psych, Bo Diddley cover, multitude of late 60s, early 70s stone-styled riffage. Matt appears to have locked himself in his room and put himself through a marathon listening sessions to The Litter, Johnny Winter, Captain Beyond, H.P. Lovecraft, Spirit, Iron Butterfly, and the 13th Floor Elevators. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not a big fan of 13th Floor Elevators, and there possibly is quite a bit of that sort of style on here. But this is a good album, first listen. Not as heavy heavy psych or maybe even I was sort of thinking maybe it might be a bit more stoner, but it's not actually. It's pretty good psych. Lots of there's vocals and stuff on it, but good album. So I found that, and then I went through their jazz section and found a few interesting things that caught my eye. This one here by a guy called Alan Holdsworth. I've never heard of him, but it's on CTI, and I have a wee soft spot for CTI records, so I thought I'd give it a go. It was a reasonably good price. It was only about $15. So I had a look on the internet actually, and it turned out that he disowns this record. It was released without his permission by CTI. It was put together by, I haven't listened to it yet, it was put together from a bunch of old demos and stuff, so he, yeah, not expecting too much from it. Luckily I found some ECM records that I don't have, so I picked this one up. Again, the prices for the jazz section were a lot better. They're actually a little bit cheaper than they are up here, so I was picking these up for less than $20, which I don't tend to do around here. So this is ECM 1049 from 1976, 75. Keith Jarrett, Jean Garbarek. Not familiar with it actually, so yeah, but that's cool. I just collect pretty much all of the early stuff from ECM. Another one I got from that same shop, this one here, ECM, very early one, 1025, Ralph Towner and Glenn Moore. So I hadn't seen this one before, so that's good. Nice to see that. They looked very good. Actually, Relics was really good. They had a VPI record cleaner, the top of the range one with the automated cleaning system and everything in it, sitting on the counter, and they had a young lad there who was quite possibly, you know, son of the owner or one of the staff or whatever, but he was cleaning all the new records that were coming in, and they pretty much clean all their records with a good cleaner. So I've got the VPI next model down. So sticking with the jazz, here I am at going to a Black Sabbath concert, and I'm buying all the jazz. Intercontinental Joe Pass, 1970, got Eberhard Weber on it, who's an ECM guy, does a lot of ECM stuff. Kenny Clare, I don't know, on drums. This is very mellow. I've had to listen to side one of this, and Joe's a great little guitarist, very mellow, laid back jazz, sort of late night, put it on dinner party music, but I quite liked it actually. It was quite nice, not the usual sort of thing I listen to. So also from that shop I found this, and if you're watching Doug, you'll know that this is a soul jazz. You might know this is another soul jazz compilation. This is a triple album, although it hasn't got a gatefold sleeve. It's got a couple of inserts with it. Yeah, Radical and Revolutionary Jazz in the USA. This is from 1957 to 82, so there's a whole bunch of different things. Yusuf Lateef, The Last Poets, Don Cherry, Archie Shepp, Tyrone Washington, a few guys I don't know actually, names I have, Joe Henderson, yeah, and a few names, Doug Hammond I don't know, Lloyd McNeil and Marshall Hawkins, David Lee Jr., the Creative Arts Ensemble. Some of those I don't actually know. What I've heard of it so far is pretty cool, and I'm quite impressed. And it is soul jazz, and I have had pretty good results with their compilations so far. Although I got, you know, all the punk ones that I did show last video. Without me going on the internet, I was just checking in on Facebook, and one of our local fellas, Chris Walker, who some of you might know from Counting the Beat and the Waiheke Radio New Zealand Music Show, recommended a little shop called Two Tone Records, and that was in the north of Dunedin, so I travelled back out of the centre of the city, had a look through them. They had some pretty cool stuff. They had, as you would expect, some good local New Zealand music, and some that I would really like to get my hands on, notably Jay Clarkson's They Were Expendable, and the Expendables had two of her records there from the early 80s. Unfortunately, with a price tag of about $100 each, I wasn't quite game enough to purchase those. So going through his bins, but I did get some New Zealand music as well from him. I mean, I got one record from that other shop, from Relics. Fish Rider Records, who I've spoken about and showed stuff from before, are based in Dunedin. And I saw one of their records there, this one here, Opposite Sex. Let's see, I'm not sure of the date. This has been out a couple of years, I think. I saw it on their website and I'd had a listen to it on Bandcamp, and I was reasonably impressed, and I was thinking about buying it and I haven't really got around to it. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that was a new purchase from Two Tone Records, and that's just want to mention that May is New Zealand Music Month here in New Zealand. So there's a lot of promotion of New Zealand music locally. I'm going to get on board with that this year and go back through all my old New Zealand music and play a lot of them. I don't have a lot of vinyl of New Zealand music, sad to say. I am starting to build a collection of it. Unfortunately, a lot of the older stuff that I was familiar with in my younger days, which I don't have pretty much, some of it on CD but not much, is very expensive to buy on vinyl. A lot of the early Flying Nun, some of it is getting reissued slowly, but it's still new prices are still quite pricey. But a lot of the older stuff, you can be paying between 50 and 100 bucks or more. He also had a live Playthings album, which was the only record they released. There's a 12-inch. They did a couple of singles, and that was Jay Clarkson's first band, who I really liked. And it's a live one. I have heard it, and it's a bit rough. But again, he wanted 50 bucks a copy for that, so I kind of passed. I like to get a lot more records for my money, to be honest. This one here, Echo and the Bunnymen's first album from 1980. Look at that. Yeah, this is cool. I like this. It's got Rescue on it on side 2. That's a fantastic song. The album is really cool. It's an old favourite. I haven't had a copy of it for many years, so snap that up. It's in good nick. I found another ECM while I was there. This is from the 1980s, 83. So Jack DeJohnette, special edition it's called. Yep. So I'm always pleased to grab those. And then finally from that shop, I picked up this one, and I've had a listen to it, and it's bloody great so far. I've heard listen to one side of it, and I was really impressed. Eric Dolphy's, just called Dolphy. It's a double album from 1971. It's got Ron Carter, George DeViver, Roy Haynes, and Freddie Hubbard on it. So that's some pretty good players there. Some good liner notes. It's in pretty good nick, apart from it's been taped all around the cover. The price wasn't too bad, I suppose, but it is a pretty damn good album. Normally in New Zealand, my experience of what you call thrift shops or junk shops or second-hand shops, most of them have small collections of vinyl. Most of it is absolute garbage. It's badly looked after, it's very old, and it's all of the stuff that nobody wants to buy. So I do peruse these shops on occasion and never usually buy anything. A bit like that thrift shop in Dunedin, Oamaru that I saw. Anyway, there's one on the way home when I cut inland for the back route to get home. There's a place called Mayfield, which is a tiny little place which basically consists of a post office, a pub, a garage, a cafe, a couple of houses, and it just services the farms around it. There's absolutely nothing there, but there is a gigantic, quite a large junk shop full of all sorts of stuff. And I remember Lynn likes going there when we pass through, which we do reasonably, at least once or twice a year. And I found a big pile of records there last time, but never got to look at it. This time I did, and I actually found something. I mean, they had probably 200 or 300 records of absolute rubbish, most of it. And a lot of it was in bad condition. There was records without sleeves all over the place, and they were really badly scratched, and there were big piles of 78s just shoved into some shelving without any covers. None of them, I don't know what they are, I mean. But I was thumbing through and I saw this, and I thought, well, that's something that I don't usually see in a thrift shop. And I opened it up, and it turned out when I looked inside it, a bunch of hippie looking blokes with long hair, released in 1972. I thought, well, that's all I need to see. That's enough for me. I'm going to buy this. So the cover, I had to glue the cover up, and the vinyl looked, it was grubby, and it's got a lot of surface marks, but it actually cleaned up really well. I put it through the cleaner as soon as I got home and put it on, and yeah, this is actually quite good. It is. It's sort of a progressive, folky, poppy, rocky kind of album from the 70s. The vocals are not overly impressed with. There's some nice guitar music. Some of it is a little bit heavier, some of it's quite lightweight, but it's I'd never heard of them before. Someone made a comment when I posted it online that the guy went on to become involved with Gentle Giant, one of the guys. I also saw there in the shop, in that same shop, this one here, which is quite common in New Zealand, to be honest. It's 1970 No.16 Gold Disc Awards Top 12, and I think there were a couple of volumes came out. It's quite a cool cover. It's a bit of a mix. There's some really good stuff. I mean, stuff like the Quincy Conserve, I know, and the Formula's Nature, which is a New Zealand classic. I know. Then there's things like the Hamilton Country Supergrass Band, which would be interesting. Shane, who was a guy, he was a sort of a, vaguely remember being kind of pop country or something. He was quite popular back in the 70s. Craig Scott was another one. Probably not my sort of music, but there is some good stuff on here. And to be honest, for $1, I'm not going to say no. So, and the same with the Wild Turkey. That was just $1. I wasn't expecting to actually pay any more for them, to be honest. And then the last one there I saw was this one, and this was quite a surprise. Now, it's not really my cup of tea, to be honest, but I knew this record because it was in my 1001 albums to hear before you die, I think that's called, and she is highly known for the range of her voice. So yeah, and the thing's in absolutely bloody good condition actually. The cover's not mint, but it's fairly good, close to it, and the record cleaned up fantastic, and it looked almost mint when I cleaned it, although it has got a bit of surface noise and that. So we had a listen to that actually today. My partner enjoyed it more than I did. It's pretty hard to describe, and it's not opera. She sings. Her voice is all over the show. She gets up to some very high pitches, and that. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen a movie called The Fifth Element, which is a Bruce Willis movie directed by Luc Besson, and in it there's a scene where there's an opera singer, and she's doing this kind of opera, but it's kind of funky disco-y opera, and her range was quite high, and she really went high. And this woman reminds me of what that lady was doing on that video, on that movie. So so yeah, this was quite a well-known record from what I understand. Not at all rare, but for $1, I'm not going to complain. It's actually in really good nick. So my first decent score at a thrift shop, and I'm really pleased with the Wild Turkey. It is a good record. I've never heard of them before, but that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for in those sort of shops, and it's very rare that you find it around here. So busy weekend at the record shops, and I'm not supposed to be spending any money on records, but you know, that's the way it goes when you've got a habit like this, isn't it? We all know about it. And the Black Sabbath concert was absolutely outstanding. It was just one of the best concerts I've been to. The sound quality was great. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It never is in a live situation. There was a bit of distortion when they play in the riff, when they're riffing with the bass and the riff. But when Tony was doing his solos, that was a lot clearer. The drumming was very clear, and Ozzy's vocals actually came through reasonably good. And yeah, just full on. It was fantastic. They played for an hour and a half, and that was it. They sort of did an encore. They said, look, you know, we'll do one more song if you get up and shake your hands up in the air and go wild, which, you know, everybody did, and they played, but that's all part of the show anyway, isn't it? So yeah, that was a fantastic thing. And the venue down there, the big stadium down there, it wasn't by any means full. They basically only used half of the stadium, so maybe 12 to 15,000 people at the most, I suspect, which is quite surprising, but it was pretty bloody good. So anyway, that's me for this time, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you're all well, and we'll see you again next time.